They fit so good on me now.
Okay.
Look.
Um, today is, hey Arun,
Yeah, yes.
we have some dates as 2/6. I mean, like November 6th and one as November 9th, right?
Yeah.
Is there a specific reason you gave that?
No, the assumption is that we have a few open transactions,
Okay.
and no, this is not November actually. So
Oh,
this
where
is
is it?
September.
Oh, September. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So which means when we are importing in the month of November, so we
Mm-hmm.
have a few transactions on June month and few on the September month. So just for understanding, but in real time we will have at least 4 months, 4 months to 6 months of data.
Okay. So that the date format is like a little weird, right?
Date format. Yeah, that is the format.
I mean, it's like year is in the front
Yeah.
and something, whether it's month or date, I always get confused. Even today, I get confused. After being so many years here, I still get confused whether it's month or date.
Yeah, I mean, usual practice is to give it day, month, and year. They just gave it in reverse order.
Here it is always month, then day, and then year comes. So
Okay.
for me, always the Indian style comes. I'm like, okay, okay. Then I think reverse back, and I say, no, no. So the invoice date and accounting date should be always the same.
No, it is not necessary. So we can do backdated invoices also. So let's say I'm in the month of November, and
Uh-huh.
I can say invoice date as an October 10th, and the GL date would be current date. So that is maybe 9th of November or maybe 6th of November.
So when this is processed, right, in the system, so it takes into account the GL account, GL date, not any other date.
Yeah, because GL should be on the current date. So GL
Mhm.
cannot be backdated
Yeah,
like
it's
the previous month
backdated.
because
Yeah.
the period would have been closed by then.
Mm, mm-hmm,
But in AP, we have this. We can do the backdated thing.
mm-hmm,
So that's why I just mentioned. I mean, usually we will see that backdated invoice more, but whereas the
mm-hmm.
accounting period will be always on the current period.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I have done is that I have taken two invoices, two open invoices. So that is on the month of June and one on the September. And I have
Okay.
taken one prepayment. So if you see these two invoices, so these are the two invoices that are not paid, which I might be paying at later point of time. Either I can pay,
Okay.
I can or I can adjust against this particular prepayment. So this will
Okay.
be for the future action.
Mm-hmm.
So what I will do is that I will do payment manually for this prepayment.
Okay.
And apart from that, so if you see this case, this is kind of an original prepayment without applying any invoices. So there
Okay.
might be
How
a
do you
case.
know that?
No, I didn't get you.
No, when you say it's an original prepayment, right?
Yeah.
Nothing, no invoice has been applied. It's just because you are doing it for the first time here. That's why you said that, or is there a
No,
specific way you can identify that?
no. If I give here if you see, I have the prepayment details.
Okay.
So, which means if I have this details for any of this, let's say I have the prepayment number of this third line with the second
Uh-huh.
line, which
Uh-huh.
means I have already applied a few amount for this invoice,
Oh,
which
okay.
means this
Okay.
is an partial. Since I
Okay.
haven't applied for any of this invoice, this is
So
an
it's blank.
original or unapplied invoice.
Okay. Okay.
I mean prepayment.
Prepayment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm done with the data. So I'll just
Mm-hmm.
generate a CSV file and we can load it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So our import progress is done. So we can check the imported invoices and we will make the payment for the prepayment.
So unless you press that republish, you don't get that report?
Here. No,
Yeah, the
if we,
one
if
with the
yeah, if we wanted to have it in this particular format, we will have this.
mm.
Or else you will get it in XML data. I mean, I usually
Ah,
have
okay,
that.
okay.
So,
Okay. Because I see you clicking that, so I was thinking maybe it doesn't come up
yeah.
unless you click it.
Yeah. So these are the invoices that we loaded. So let's take the invoice number and
Mhm.
we can verify. Yeah, it is there, but some case sensitive issues.
Mm.
Yeah. So if you see here, so this will be in never validated status, including the invoices.
Where does it show now? Never validated?
Yeah.
Oh, on the top. Okay.
Yeah. So in this case, if you see this is only one invoice or two invoices, so this we can do it manually. But
Okay.
in real time, if you see, we cannot validate each invoice. So
Mm-hmm.
instead, what we will do is that we will run this program called validate invoice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this will be for the particular business unit.
Okay.
Or if you want to run for a ledger, kind of 10 or 15 business unit under a ledger, so that is
Uh-huh.
also possible. In our
Okay.
case, we have only one business unit, so I'm just taking the business unit directly, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
running for Tata R203,
Okay.
and this will validate all the invoices.
Okay. Just needs validation. System holds line variants. No, it's because 100,000 it shows, and down it shows 100,005, 105,000 or something. Mhm. Why is it showing 110? Is that because of the taxes, that additional 5,000?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh,
Yeah. So what I was saying is that, so in this case, what will happen is that I should have not enabled the taxation part until I complete the data migration. So before data
mm-hmm.
migration, I have enabled the Fusion tax for today's class. Actually, I enabled it. So
That's why it was
yeah,
adding that 5,000 additionally.
yeah. So what will happen is that this taxation will calculate when we save the record. So it's not only on the calculate taxation. So when we
Mm-hmm.
save this particular transaction, system will calculate the tax. So what will
Mm-hmm.
happen is that when we import the transaction, and after
Mm-hmm.
that if we enable the fusion tax, when we validate this, so system will generate the taxation automatically. But here,
Mm-hmm.
what has happened is that I have created it. So initially, I didn't enable the tax. So system has created for 5,000 on top of 1 lakh. So that
Mm-hmm.
is our original.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
we have the latest one. So we saved this 1 lakh 5,000. So which
Mm-hmm.
means system will recalculate the tax on 1 lakh 5,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying because of the taxes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. So this
showing
will go like a chain actually.
Mhm. But now that it is it's not balanced, like the amount and the lines is not matching up in
Yes.
terms of like not the totals. So
Yes.
will it let you move forward?
No, still we will
It
have,
won't, right?
yeah, yeah, still we
Yeah,
will have,
it won't unless you go change the taxes or you turn it off.
yeah. So for this case, I have just disabled the line, I mean the taxation part.
Hmm.
So usually it will calculate. So we will see the fusion tax maybe after this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you see, after we validate this invoice, we will have the status as unpaid. So unless
Hmm.
we pay this particular invoice, so we will
Hmm.
not be able to match this particular prepayment with any of the invoice open invoices. So I'll just make a payment to this.
Here I have a question.
Yeah.
So when it says unpaid, right?
Yes.
But prepayment is something that you're paying in advance. Isn't that true?
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
So it's kind of contradictory, right?
No.
Unpaid and
No, like what will happen is that even if it is prepaid, which means, let's say my invoice date is on 10th of November. So what when I will pay this prepayment or when I will give this advances on maybe 1st of November, 1st of October or 10th of October. So which
mm,
means I'm making the payment earlier to my invoice
mm-hmm,
and I'm matching with the advance for the invoice.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So in this case, how system will understand is that I have created an invoice for the prepayment and I will make a payment which will be always immediate payment. So once this payment
mm-hmm.
is done, then we will have this advance for adjusting against the invoice.
Okay.
I mean, you got it, or maybe we
No, still
can.
not clear.
Yeah. Yes. A minute. Let's. Yeah. 1 minute. You're seeing the Excel sheet, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So here, if you see,
Mm-hmm.
so always we will have two actions inside our API module. So one is
Mm-hmm.
invoice and the other one is payment. So even though we are giving this as an advance, if you take the business action, so what I
Mm-hmm.
will do is that I will just make an payment in cash. So let's take only the
Mm-hmm.
cash transaction. So let me take this cash transaction and then I'll come to prepayment. So in
Okay.
case of cash payment, if you take the real time scenario, I'll just walk
Mm-hmm.
into Walmart and I will give
Mm-hmm.
money and I'll get my goods. So that's it. So this
Mm-hmm.
is the only action that I'll be doing. But in terms of
Mm-hmm.
system, I cannot just make the payment. So
Mm-hmm.
why I need this invoice is that this will have a reference to my payment. So unless I
Okay.
have this link, I will not know that what is happening exactly in the system. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why what I will do is that for the cash collection that I have made, so I will say this
Mm-hmm.
is the invoice that we have prepared. So which means on this so and so date, so and so
Mm-hmm.
and so what do you call the invoice number and the invoice amount. With all those
Mm-hmm.
details, we will say this is the invoice copy, which we will give it to the customer, and then we will
Mm-hmm.
have the payment which we received from customer.
Okay.
Or,
So you
or
basically have to have an invoice to, uh, you know, uh, to show the prepayment for.
yeah, yes, correct. So this is not only for the prepayment, even for the normal invoice. So we will
Mm-hmm.
need this invoice. So unless we
Mm-hmm.
have, because if you see this P2P cycle, so we will
Mm-hmm.
have the invoice, so which we will receive from the vendor. So
Mm-hmm.
vendor will give us the copy of the invoice. So we will see this invoice and we will input the invoice number and date, whatever it is available in the physical copy.
Mm-hmm.
So we are recording the invoice that we received from the vendor, and
Mm-hmm.
against that particular invoice, we are making the payment. So
Okay.
if you see our end, it is only the payment.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what you are referring, that we are just giving the advance. So why
Mm-hmm.
is that I need to make the payment is the question.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So here in this case, if you see the copy that I will receive from vendor is that you have made the prepayment of 10, maybe 1 lakh. For this
Mm-hmm.
1 lakh, we will have to make the invoice and we will have to make the payment also.
Mm-hmm.
When we say make the payment, that is given an understanding that I have given the advance to the vendor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is why
Yeah.
we have two actions. One is the prepayment entry, and we will
Mm-hmm.
have the prepayment payment.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean clear or
Yeah, yeah. Now I got it.
yeah, yeah. So that's why we have this. So when we create this prepayment, always it will be on unvalidated. So when this particular prepayment is validated, so then it will become unpaid.
Okay.
And when we made the payment, so then
Mm-hmm.
the status will change to available.
Okay.
Yeah. So always I can apply and stand, I mean prepayment against an invoice which has the status as available.
Okay.
The other two, it is not in a ready status to make the adjust the invoice.
Okay. And it's also that for a prepayment and like let's say there is, I mean, it doesn't have to be the same as the invoice amount, right?
No, no,
So
it
because
doesn't.
in this case you gave 1 lakh, right?
Yeah,
Prepayment, and then you have your invoice for only 10,000. So it's just like you having holding a advanced account there. And
yes,
whenever you're having, okay,
yes, correct.
it doesn't have to match.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why when you see this, when we are loading the Excel sheet in terms of data migration, so we saw
Mm-hmm.
two things. So one is on the, I mean, of course, we didn't upload the partial prepayment, but I was saying that there are possible chances we will have the partial prepayment as well. So the way to
Okay.
identify is that whether the
You
particular
give the
prepayment,
payment number there.
yeah, in the invoice. Yeah, correct.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so that is possible. We can have the partial prepayment also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this will be treated as partial prepayment then.
Yes, correct. This
No.
will,
Oh, yeah.
for invoice this is in full payment. For prepayment this is partial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just make the payment.
So normally when you did that validate invoices, when you ran that program, right?
Yeah.
It should have even validated this one if it already had the right amount of total amounts.
Yeah.
The only reason that we are doing it manually right now is because there was a discrepancy in the header
Yes.
and the
Yes.
line amount.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct. Usually this will be validated, and yeah, now we can see the status as available. So
available.
usually it will
Hmm.
be validated, and the payment part we will have to do it manually. We don't have any option.
Oh, so they don't have anything like a bulk
Yeah,
thing.
bulk we have this one, PPR.
Only,
PPR
I
is,
mean, yeah, but this one, but not on the payments.
no, this we are importing it. Yeah, so we have this Excel sheet. We used it for migrating the prepayment and the invoice. So this prepayment will come along with this particular this thing. Okay. So what will happen is that so there are chances that I will not use the same payment for all the prepayment. Okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah. So here, if you see, so there are two approaches to make the payment for the invoice or maybe for the prepayment. So
Mm-hmm.
if I say I use same account since my inception of the business. So which
Mm-hmm.
means I'm having one account for all my payments. So for those
Mm-hmm.
cases, I can use very well. I can use this particular option, that is payment batch, and I
Mm-hmm.
can make payment for all the prepayment. Let's say I have 100 prepayment. So what I will do is
Mm-hmm.
that I'll do run batch, and this batch will select all the prepayment and it will run for the entire batch that we have imported. And the other
Mm-hmm.
case that we have is that we have maybe two, three, or maybe five, six accounts as well. So it depends on
Mm-hmm.
the branches or the head office how they maintain. So let's say
Okay.
6 branches. So I cannot run payment batch for the entire 100 prepayment. So what I
Mm-hmm.
will do is that I will segregate it maybe 25, 25, or maybe 30, 40, the different
Mm-hmm.
proportion. I can do that way. So
Okay.
that depends on like how we have the payment cycle and the other things. So as a part
Mm-hmm.
of this prepayment data, we will also need the bank details and the how basically in legacy they have processed the prepayment. All those details
Oh.
we will need it. So that is how we will know that whether we wanted to have it in a single batch or we wanted to have it in multiple batch, or few cases we might need to go with the manual payment. So how
Mm-hmm.
we did in the application just before this. So
Mm-hmm.
we did this manual pay. So similarly, we might wanted to do the manual pay also for few cases. Few cases.
Okay. So now in case we did let's say we uploaded invoices, right, into the system. Let's say three we put in the system. We
Yeah.
validated that. And now when we have to pay them, can we do it as a batch?
Yeah, now we can do it as a batch, but in this case, if you see, yeah, for testing purpose, definitely we can do that is possible. We don't have any restriction in system, but
Mm-hmm.
in real time scenario, we will not do that way. So it will be different actually. So
You
in
have to do
real
it
time,
manually?
yeah, in real time, the invoice that we have imported, that we
Mm-hmm.
cannot just make payment. So that will happen when actually we have imported this particular when we receive the bill from vendor. So that is when we
Okay.
will make the payment for those invoices, whatever we have imported. And for the
Mm-hmm.
prepayment, we will have to do it immediately because we have paid advances already. Since we don't
Okay.
have the option of importing the payment part as well, so we are
Mm-hmm.
doing it manually. So that will be an immediate action, but applying the invoices or making the payment for the invoices, this will be on the later point of time in real time.
Okay. So when you receive the bill, right? When you
Yes.
enter the invoice itself, isn't that similar to receiving a bill? How
Yeah,
is
yes,
it
correct.
different?
No, no. When we receive the bill only, we will enter the invoice.
That's what I was
So in
thinking.
this
So,
case, if you see, I already received the bill, but the payment maturity date is different. Let's say,
mm,
so there will be multiple cases where we might wanted to pay it as an immediate basis, or
mm-hmm,
we might have the limit of 30.
mm-hmm,
So when we will receive this bill is that when we receive the item, so we will
mm-hmm,
have the invoice copy attached to it.
mm-hmm,
So what I will do is that even though the maturity date is maybe let's say 30th of November, I receive the
mm-hmm.
bill on 9th of November. So what I will do is that
Okay.
I will punch in the invoice in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
this will stay as an open invoice for me since I haven't
Until
made,
the
yeah,
okay,
since I
until the
haven't
date
made,
of payment.
yes, correct.
Okay.
So I will not make the payment on the 9th of November, the date when I made the data migration. So
Okay.
instead, what will happen is that I'll make the payment on 30th of November. So till
Mm-hmm.
then, this invoice will be open invoice.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
whereas for the prepayment, I have made it on the 1st of October. So this should
So it's
happen.
immediate.
Yeah, because since Oracle doesn't have the provision to import the payments,
Mm-hmm.
as a workaround, I'm just importing the prepayment and I'm making the payment manually. So
Okay.
in real time, in reality, this
Mm-hmm.
particular advance that I'm making has
Mm-hmm.
been already done. So I have to do my
Mm-hmm.
action immediately. So I will have to
Okay.
do the batch or the manual payment immediately. But whereas
Mm-hmm.
for the action on the invoice, this I will not do
Mm-hmm.
it now. When I receive the bill or when the payment maturity arrives, so that is when I will make the payment.
Okay. So when we do the payment batch, right? Let's assume it's on the 30 days from now, or let's say
Okay.
end of the month,
Okay.
and you received it now. You entered your invoice into the system, and you have an open invoice. And the end of the month is the maturity date. So
Okay.
can you create a batch based on the maturity date? Let's say it's like net 30 or payment terms. Based on the payment terms, can you make the batch?
You wanted to make payment today for 30th, or what is the
No,
scenario?
no, I don't want to make a payment for today or just today, but I'll make the payment on the 30th of November.
Okay. Okay.
But can I create a batch and keep it ready?
Yeah, we can
I
keep
can't
it
do.
ready, but I mean, we don't have an option of what do you call saving it and having it later in this one.
You can't save it. Okay.
Yeah,
You have to do it only while you're running it. Let's say
yeah,
on the 30th of November, that's when you actually create a batch and then run it.
yeah. For manual payment, maybe you can just try saving it, but
No, no,
uh,
I'm just curious. I don't
batch
know
we
anything.
cannot.
So,
Yeah, that's it. For batch, we cannot have that actually. If you
okay.
just click submit, it is going to process the batch.
So if let's say on the payment, let's say this is today's 30th of November, assume that it's today, and I have
Okay,
to pay a bunch of payments today,
okay,
which are all net 30, which are ready for me to pay.
okay.
So in that case, I go ahead and create a batch. When I create a batch, will it automatically pick everything that needs to be paid, or do we specifically have to look for a date?
No, not for look for a date. So let's say we have a batching process where
Mm-hmm,
on a particular kind of an invoices, let's say the department A's goods received invoices. So that
mm-hmm,
we will make it on a particular date, let's say 1st of November.
Mm-hmm.
So for these cases, what we can do is that we can enable this as an in manual invoice we can do it, but in prepayment on the actual day we will do it basically, because if
Mm-hmm.
you see there we will not have an option to save it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that is the only restriction that we have.
Okay.
So yeah, so the save and this thing we have it for the normal invoice or the manual invoice.
Okay.
So if you see, there are two kind of payment. So one is for the manual payment that we will make it kind of an invoice screen. So
Mm-hmm.
where we have an option to save it, and the
Mm-hmm.
other part is for the payment batch. So for the payment batch, we cannot save it for the later time, because
Okay.
there we will see only one option, that is either cancel or submit. So if
Okay.
we are giving submit, which means system will process the selected batches or the
Okay.
invoices.
Okay.
So here in this case, we will not have option to process it at later point of time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I still have to work on this AP. I haven't started anything yet, so yeah.
Okay.
Once I do it, probably I'll understand more.
Yeah. So yeah. So here PPR is always immediate. So on the
Okay.
maturity date, we will just give the selection criteria and we will just process the invoices.
Okay. Yeah, we can move on.
Okay. Yeah. So that's all on the data migration part. So basically, we imported
Mm-hmm.
the invoices and prepayment, and we
Mm-hmm.
made the manual payment for the prepayment.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all the action that we will do. So basically we have done this one also, and
Okay.
we will have the invoices adjusted when we have the maturity date that is coming in. So either we can
Mm-hmm.
adjust with the prepayment, or we can create a manual payment or the batch payment.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are the things that we have. So any questions, or we can move to tax.
Then, no, there are, I thought you'll show me that supplier, the DFF creation.
Okay, fine. We'll see that. No problem.
So it's under define supplier descriptive. Okay.
So we will navigate to invoice and the other processing, and under that we will have supplier.
Mm-hmm.
Under that we have supplier descriptive flex fields.
So this is under procurement, or is it under what is this
This
main
is under
folder? What is
payables. I mean,
payables only? It comes. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Invoice and payment
Yeah.
configuration. Okay.
But supplier will be created under procurement only.
Okay. So like that, they have separate for each of the things for descriptive flex field creation.
Each of the things in the sense.
In the sense like this is specific to the supplier, right?
Yeah.
Let's assume I want something. Okay. If descriptive flex field, can you create for everything, or is it only specific to supplier, customer, only those two?
Yeah, we can create for customer, supplier, invoice, but it will be different screens as the configuration. So here in
Okay.
this case, if you see, we can create only for the vendor and the supplier sites.
Okay.
We can create it, but not on the same screen.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking. So if let's say if you want some a DFF on the payment screen, then you have to go specifically to that
Yeah.
manage payment, whatever flex fields,
Yes,
right?
correct.
Descriptive flex. Okay. What is that POZ? I mean Z.
Yeah, that is actually the term given by Oracle to identify the suppliers.
Okay.
Even the table names will start from POC supplies.
Oh,
Suppliers,
okay.
which means supplier table.
Okay. So we create a descriptive flex field only when we want additional information there to show up.
Yes. Yeah, correct.
Okay. And when you say segment, create segment, that create segment is what? Is it just that label? Is that what it means?
No, you're saying this one or
In the top, it says create segment, right?
yeah,
On the
yes,
page.
correct. So create segment is nothing but it will let us to define or have the TFF option. So this is the kind of in structure. If you see our initial this thing when we saw the GL module, so we
Mm-hmm.
created an structure called chart of accounts. So
Yes.
for the chart of accounts, we will have different segments. So for each
Uh-huh.
segment, we will have the values. So based on those
Yes.
structures, we were
Mm-hmm.
able to do the transaction or we were able to get the values in the AP module or GL module, wherever. So
Yes.
similarly, we have a segment. So segment is nothing but our structure. So if you come
Mm-hmm.
out of this page, so we will have a list of segments that is created. So which means
Mm-hmm.
we have different what do you call the DFFs for this one uh, for the supply scheme. So
Okay.
here our Tata DFF is one particular option that we can select. So this will be one separate segment in terms
Okay.
of DFF.
Okay.
So for this TFF, we will need a few validations, one thing, and
Mm-hmm.
we will also inform to the system that where this particular value should be stored. So we have
Mm-hmm.
given in the attribute one column. So
Okay.
whatever the data that we are having it here in the value set, that will be stored in the attribute one column,
Okay.
and we have the value set. So the value set should be given here. So unless we give it here, so we will
Mm-hmm.
not be able to proceed with our configuration, one thing. And the
Mm-hmm.
another thing is that in terms of security, we will have to do it. So we can either view the value set or we can create a new value set here and attach it here.
Okay. So
So
this value set is what is created in GL, right?
yeah, here for our this thing, I have taken what we have created, but
Mm-hmm.
it depends on the business requirement, like what kind of data that needs to be shown there in the supplier creation. So let's say we wanted to see the location, like let's say we have 100 offices, and we
Mm-hmm.
wanted to track like which office is creating this particular vendor. So for
Okay.
that, we will wanted to have this as an what do you call the optional field that user will enter, so
Mm-hmm.
that we will understand that this particular office is created by this. I mean, this particular vendor is created by this office. So
Okay.
we will have the office masters. So
Mm-hmm.
for that, what we will do is that we will create a value set and we will load the values there. And
Mm-hmm.
after loading the values, we will take those values set here and we will attach it.
Okay.
So based on this value set, system is going to give us the list of values in the supply screen.
So hold on. Let me see if I understood.
Yeah.
So when you're saying locations are created, right? So you're going to create that again, but do you have to create the structure again for that one? New
No, not
structure?
structure.
No,
No, not structure. Only value set.
only value set. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. In GL, if you see the first set of configuration is to create the value set.
Mm-hmm.
So after we create the value set, we were creating the structure, chart of account structure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
here I'm not asking to create the structure. Instead, I'm saying we will create only the value set.
Okay. So we can create additional value sets also,
Yes, correct.
which doesn't have to be part of the structure.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, that was my question. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I have given it, and this is like the prompt and the other thing. So I have given the list of values.
Mm-hmm.
So here, if you see, ours is list of values, and apart from that, we can have the checkbox and the drop down. The multiple options are there.
So what's the difference between the drop down list and list of values?
So drop down is something like it will give all the what do you call?
Options,
No, like
like the
uh,
ones that you're just seeing right now.
yeah, yes, correct. So I mean we cannot differentiate much because list of values also
That's why I
give,
was like
yeah.
confused because it's also similar, right? So it's
Yeah,
also
it
like a
is.
drop down.
Yeah, correct. It is only the count
Okay,
of
okay.
the values that we are seeing. If you see the pop-up list of values, even this is similar.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, almost we will see. Here, if you take, we will have only three options.
Mm-hmm.
If you avoid the other things, you
Yeah,
will
yeah.
have the list of values. You will have the
Or just
checkbox.
type it
Yeah, or type it.
free
These are
form.
the three options we will have. But
Mm-hmm.
they have segregated and they have given it in the multiple ways.
So when you say inline search, it means like you're creating a search box. I
Yeah,
mean, like
search
a
box.
search
Correct.
field. Okay.
Yeah,
Search field.
yeah,
Whatever. Okay.
yeah. So these are the options that we have. And apart
So
from
when
this,
you say, no, when you say this, right, when you come down,
yeah,
um, and say, okay, you finish this, whatever you entered, and then you save it.
yeah,
And then view value set is something when you click here, what happens? You just view that, or who views that?
yeah. We will just view the value set. That's it. It is kind of a read only.
No, no, in the sense like in the sense like is the person who's configuring seeing that, or is it the person who actually sees the form or the application itself gets to view it?
No, like if there are two consultants to configure
Mm-hmm,
this particular DFF and the EGL module, or the
mm-hmm,
whatever the value set that needs to be attached with this particular segment. So
mm-hmm,
on those cases, we can view it. Maybe that will be passed through mail or any document as a source or
mm.
reference. So that is when we will check whether the value set is available or not. Or else what we will do is that we know that this is the value set and
Oh, we go
we
and
will
create it.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
we are going to create it or we are going to just attach it if it has created already.
So when you click on the create value set, it'll take you to GL.
No, not GL. For value set, if you see, so it is a generic form. So we did it for GL, but even for the
Oh,
fixed
that's
set,
open for everything.
yeah, even for the fixed set module, we will have the same value set and these things.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay, got it.
yeah. So here I'm not creating a new value set. I'm just attaching this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, yeah, I'm good
And we have the other option called BA enabled. So which
for
means
reporting.
for yeah, correct. For reporting, we can use this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is done. So let me save this.
So where would you actually create the list of values?
List of
That's
values.
an again separate one, right?
No, like when we created the what we call the GL module, so we had four initial configuration for chart of accounts. So first thing
Mm-hmm.
is to create the value set. Then we created the chart of account structure. Then we
Mm-hmm.
created chart of account structure instance. So
Mm-hmm.
after that we created the chart of accounts
Values.
values. Yeah. So
Yeah.
similarly here also for this case also we will have to load it manually.
So, okay. So if you were to go, let's say for this one that you just created, right?
Yeah.
If you were going to go, you would go to the same place and do the values,
Yeah.
add the
Same place.
values?
Yes. Correct.
Oh, okay. Okay, okay. I thought that was something different. Okay.
Yeah. Same.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So after complete this, basically we will have to deploy this flex field. So unless we deploy it, so we will not have this effect in the uh,
Supplier.
supplier page. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So we are done with the DFF configuration. So I'll just take one vendor. Yeah. So here for this particular segment, the value that I mean the length of the value that I given is big. So that
Mm-hmm.
is why
Yeah.
I'm having
Such a
the
big
lengthy. Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we will have these two values.
Okay. So similarly, you can do it for any form,
Yes. Correct.
but you have to go to the specific place
Yeah.
where that
Specific.
you want. Okay.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So in this, so
Yeah.
you can't do any customizations, right?
Yeah.
In
We cannot
Fusion.
do. Yeah. We cannot do customizations. So for that we need to take the pass model.
Okay. But if it is past model, okay, then they will probably have a more uh, access.
Yes.
Okay. And then what they call as personalizations, right? Is that
Yeah.
something that is possible?
Yeah. Personalization is possible. So we have something called sandbox.
Uh,
So we need, I think it is on the XML or something. So we will have to do there in the sandbox. We have something called page composer. So under the
yeah,
page
yeah,
composer, we can do the personalizations.
yeah. Okay. I totally forgot. It's been 3 years
Okay.
since I looked. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Done. We will
Yeah, yeah.
move. Okay.
Hey, also the other one. What about that multi-accounting
Yeah. That's
period? Do
what
you know?
yeah. That's what we are going to see.
Okay. Is that something that is common in AP?
Yeah. That is common, but not used by all the customers.
Okay.
Yeah. And functionality wise, it is not a huge article.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't have configuration efforts also.
Okay.
So that is there is an option, so we can just enable that, and we can generate the invoice. So what is multi accounting is something is that I will create an you can compare with the recurring invoice. So
Okay.
I will create the invoice today. But I will
Mm-hmm.
recognize the revenue, I mean, not revenue, I will recognize the expense at later point of time. Like, let's say I recognize on the month of January, I recognize on month of February. So
Mm-hmm.
similarly, so this
Okay.
will have a start date and this will have an end date.
Okay.
So based on this particular start date and end date, system will calculate that for how many months or for how many periods I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to recognize this expenses. So that is how system will work. So as an
Okay.
invoice, if you see, it will be
Mm-hmm.
always one. But whereas in case of recurring invoice, it will be multiple invoices. But here only the accounting will be for the multiple periods. But whereas the invoices will be always one. So that is the
Oh,
difference. Yeah.
okay. So this has nothing to do with the actual period itself, period opening or anything.
No, period should
It
be
is just.
open. Yeah, period should be open.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, for accounting, if you see, it will generate, but to post this particular accounting transaction, we will need the period open.
Okay.
Maybe if
Okay.
we see, we will get an idea. So maybe
Okay.
somebody write it. So for the normal invoice, what we will do is that we will attach the. I mean, we have two options. One is to give the distribution set or
Okay,
enter the
distribution.
distribution manually. So for
Mm-hmm.
multi-period accounting, we will not basically enter the distribution combinations here because what
Oh.
we are trying to achieve here is that we are not creating the actual expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So which means we are going to get it in the future period so that we are aggregating now and we are saying that this will be expensed in the future period. So let's say on
Okay.
the Jan or this thing. So for the Jan, now I'm in the Jan month. So I'll say
Mm-hmm.
I'll recognize this on 30th of every month or last day of the month. So
Okay.
which means I'll create this invoice on 1st of January and I
Mm-hmm.
will recognize on 30th of January. So that is possible. So when I'm recognizing this revenue, so that is when I will have the expenses not coming in. So till then, what I will have is that I will have something called multi-period accounting. So how
Oh.
will we enable this? Usually, if you see, we will not see the multi-period accounting. So
Mm-hmm.
we will have to just go to column and enable that.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here I have enabled this three things like the start date, end date, and the accrual account.
Okay.
So here I'm giving start date as January
Mm-hmm.
and end date I'm giving as December. So I'll pick the accrued account for this case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Taxation.
Line variance is that, oh, again the tax.
Yeah. If you see here, so this
Mm-hmm.
will be our original accounting entry. So that is deferred item expenses,
Mm-hmm.
and we will have the taxation, and then we will have the liability for each taxation.
Okay.
Okay. Now we will try to recognize the revenue. I mean the expenses. So for this, we have a program called create multi-period accounting. So where we can recognize the expenses.
Okay. What was wrong?
No, I mean nothing wrong. So I'll just explain it. So what we have done is that so we have generated the normal transaction. So that is for the so we created an invoice. So for
Mm-hmm.
that we booked with the deferred item expense. So which means I'm not recognizing immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, so what I have done is that I have recognized for month of January. So if you
Mm-hmm.
see, so this is for the January. So I have recognized with the item expense. But
Mm-hmm.
whereas the initial one, if you see, so this will be on the deferred item expense.
Mm-hmm.
So out of 12,000, I have recognized 1,000. So similarly,
Okay.
for the other months, if the periods are open, I mean, I can recognize it, but to post this particular transaction, I will need the periods open.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the one invoice, we will have the multiple lines added to it.
Okay.
Yeah, system will basically post the entries.
Okay. So the first one, let me go back. Okay, let me
Yeah,
just try to understand. So when you just created the header on the invoice and then you came to the lines, you entered the line as a regular how you enter for every
yeah,
invoice, except that you did not choose the distribution set or the distribution combination for this.
yeah,
And then you went to the multi accounting period tab
yeah,
where you actually entered what did you enter? The date, start date, end date, and accrual, right?
yeah, correct.
So after that, what was the step? I'm just trying to recollect.
After that, in the distribution, we basically entered the expense account as well.
Oh, we came back to the distribution. That's what I lost.
Yeah, we
Okay.
came and we entered. If you see, so
Entered
this
the.
is
I
the,
know we entered the distribution, but where
yeah,
we entered, I forgot. Okay.
yeah,
So
in
this
the
is what
distribution, yeah,
this is
rent,
what is showing up. Okay.
yeah, rent account. So that is what we chose there.
Then after that, we ran the process. I mean, we actually validated,
Yeah,
posted, and everything.
yeah,
and
correct.
then and then we ran the process to
Yeah,
run the report.
yeah, create multi-period accounting. Yeah, so this will have multiple child programs attached to it. So this
Hmm.
will basically process the invoice to recognize the expense, and it
Hmm.
will also account the particular recognition that we are doing it. So we can directly see it here.
Okay. But what are the cases where they use this kind of a thing? I mean, like when do they normally use like recurring? I understand like if it's a rent or something, yes, you keep repeating it. So can you use this for recurring and kind of an expense?
No, like for recurring, it is different. Like for recurring, definitely you can use rent as an use case because
Mm-hmm.
for those things, we will not have one invoice and we will create it for the entire year. So
Okay.
that will not happen. So we will need the recurring invoice option because recurring invoice that will create multiple invoices. Like
You
if
need
I
to have multiple.
yeah, multiple invoices. So
Mm-hmm.
it will create one for January, one for February, similarly. But here,
Okay.
if you see, the invoice is
Mm-hmm.
same, but it is going to recognize under the one invoice on the multiple periods. So, for example, I'm into construction business. So
Mm-hmm.
what I will do is that I will procure the materials as a whole. Like let's
Mm-hmm.
say I wanted to this construction, this particular building that I'm constructing.
Oh, so basically as a bulk when you buy and then
Yeah, yeah,
do it.
yeah. So in
Okay.
this case, if you see, I will construct this for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
The cement and the other things I have procured as a whole this month, let's say January.
Uh-huh.
So even though I'm not making purchase for the month of February, March, and the other things, but still
Mm-hmm.
I will be consuming what I have procured in the month of January till June.
Okay.
So this will give a wrong impression in the books of account. So for those options, what we can use is that this one multi-period accounting. So where we will recognize the revenue, I mean recognize the expense in different periods, but whereas the procurement is on 1st of January. So that is the
Okay.
meaning that when we say the accrual account, so this accrual account will say that the revenue hasn't, I mean, expense hasn't recognized completely, but
Mm-hmm.
whereas it has started on this date, which means
Mm-hmm.
our invoice date is the key here. So that is
Mm-hmm.
the date we have made the actual procurement, and
Mm-hmm.
from there on we have splitted it into multiple usages, that is for January, February, March. So we will
Okay.
recognize the expenses for similarly January, February until June month.
Okay. Okay.
So that is the difference between your recurring invoice and multi-period accounting.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, Arun, do
Yeah.
you have any notes for this AP?
AP, actually I don't
Any
have. Maybe
material?
I'll check if I can find.
Yeah, if you
I'll,
can.
yeah,
Yeah, just give me some notes so that, notes in the sense like, how to create the
yeah,
invoice or the
yeah,
prepayment, a little bit of description so that,
yeah, yeah,
it's easy for me to go through that.
yeah, sure. I don't have actually. I'll get from someone. I'll
Yeah,
give you.
even if somebody has it, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. I'll give you, no problem.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and the taxation part, yeah, it is 9:10. So
Do you
we'll
have
see
time?
someone.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can see it tomorrow.
yeah, yeah.
You want, which tomorrow means you tell me, your tomorrow, my tomorrow, what tomorrow? To,
Let me check and confirm because Suresh was saying the other batch also running.
oh, new one started?
Sorry.
A new batch started?
Yeah, it was it started this Saturday.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, just I'll check that alone
Yeah, yeah,
and
let
I'll
me
get
know.
on.
Check and let me know. I mean, the only reason I was asking is that something like you want to take at the same time tomorrow, or is it something you want to do it? What is yours? Evening
Yeah, yeah,
your time. So that's why I
yeah,
wasn't sure.
yeah. I'll just check with Suresh and I'll
Yeah,
confirm.
yeah. Okay, thanks. Not a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, fine.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Bye.
yeah, thanks.